No, I have made up my mind.
Joining me now is Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Senator, thanks for joining us as always. You have said you do not think there will be any Republican support for removing President Trump in a Senate trial. You will, of course, be a juror in that trial. So are you still keeping an open mind about this, or have you already decided you will acquit the president?
You know, we've seen the evidence. We're going to hear the evidence repeated, but we're not going to see any new evidence. So I think all of America has seen this. What we've found is this is a very partisan exercise. There's not going to be any Republicans in the House. In fact, there'll be a handful of Democrats who will vote against impeachment in the House. In the Senate, I think all Republicans will vote against the House, and I think 2 Democrats have a very good chance of voting against impeachment also. So I think what we've seen is it's just a very partisan thing. This is a disagreement. People on the Democrat side don't like President Trump. They don't like his demeanor. And so they decided to sort of criminalize politics. But I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good day for the country. I think it's a sad day because I hope it doesn't devolve into that every president, like in different parts of Latin America, we either impeach or throw presidents into jail just because we don't like their politics. I think that will really dumb down and destroy the country.
You're going to swear an oath that says, I solemnly swear that in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Donald John Trump, President of the United States, now pending, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and laws, so help me God. It doesn't sound like that oath is going to mean very much if you've already made up your mind, sir.
Well, I would disagree. I would say that my oath is to the Constitution, and I take that very seriously. So, for example, you can interpret the Constitution in different ways. I interpret the Constitution that we should not be sending foreign aid to other countries. We should be taking care of what we were empowered to do through the Constitution, and one of them was not borrowing money from China to send it to Ukraine. So when the Democrats say, oh, we damaged national security by holding up for 55 days for money that was going to Ukraine, I say, well, we shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. And I think the money we give to other countries actually damages our national security. So just because I disagree with the Democrats, though, does that mean my position, I should be impeached for my position? So it really gets to the heart of this. This is a disagreement over policy, and this is sort of an extension of politics. But this isn't about the Constitution or the president breaking the Constitution. Foreign aid is always contingent upon behavior. In fact, the money we gave him to give to Ukraine, it says specifically in the law he has to certify that they are less prone to corruption. So, I mean, he was instructed by Congress to do exactly what he asked to be done.
So you're saying that you think that President Trump was actually doing this because he was combating corruption. This is, of course, a president.
Well, yeah, there are all kinds of accusations that Burisma and Hunter Biden and the company were corrupt, and the founder of the company was corrupt.
But this is a president whose former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, former national security advisor, Mike Flynn, former campaign advisor, Roger Stone, former deputy campaign chair, Rick Gates, former associate, George Papadopoulos, all of them have been convicted of federal crimes. In addition, last year, Trump University settled a $25 million fraud lawsuit. Last month, President Trump admitted misusing his own charitable foundation's money, was ordered to pay $2 million. You really think President Trump is concerned about rooting out corruption?
I think most of what you listed and most of the people that were indicted or convicted were alleged to have been part of some sort of huge Russian conspiracy. But I think what we found out from the Inspector General's report is that it was all based on a false premise that Carter Page had something to do with Russia.
The Trump Justice Department put all those people in prison or sentenced all those people. It's not me.
It turns out that the FBI hid information that Carter Page all along was telling another part of the government, the CIA,
that doesn't absolve
Russian
Paul Manafort
was getting, incidentally,
of money laundering.
I mean, the whole investigation that started this, General Flynn was not guilty of anything to do with Russians. General Flynn was guilty of not reciting his conversation.
I'm asking you about President Trump and corruption.
With him.
I'm asking you about President Trump and corruption. I just listed a number of close associates of President Trump's who are either in prison or facing sentencing.
But I think it's based on opinion. It's based on
these are sentences. These are criminal sentences.
His opinion on foreign aid is similar to mine. Mine is a little more exacting. But the president has had doubts on foreign aid. He said the Europeans should pay more. He withheld it. In fact, the law allows any president to withhold aid as long as they want until the end of the fiscal year.
And Ukraine had been cleared.
Act.
Ukraine had been cleared on the benchmarks it needed to meet in terms of getting that aid that Congress passed.
According to the president, I don't know that he had accepted that they had been cleared because
let me
he
just
was
get
still
back
holding up their aid.
I just wanted to know, do you really think President Trump is concerned about corruption? Just a yes or no. Is that something you really
yes,
believe?
I do think that Ukraine, I think Ukraine has been one of the corruptest countries on earth.
That's not what I asked.
Russian-backed or Western-backed, all the governments of Ukraine have been corrupt. And yes, I do think that foreign aid does not cure corruption. I think foreign aid aids and abets corruption. And if you look at studies, you actually find that the more corrupt nations get more money because we think we're going to somehow make them better.
Okay, so
but they steal the money. Look at the Mubaraks.
But you're not really answering the question.
They stole $20-30 billion. Well, sure, I'm answering the question. I think
you're saying you're concerned about corruption.
Foreign aid.
Okay. But let's be clear here.
The president was too. If you listen to the president's speeches throughout his campaign and throughout his administration, he's been concerned with corruption with regard to foreign aid. Every time I talk to the president, he's talking about how countries are taking from us and not doing as we have asked them to do and not being good allies. And so this is a common theme, and I think it's a political point, and I think the Democrats are trying to impeach him for politics they disagree with.
So just to be clear, this precedent that you are prepared to set, you would be okay with a president, say Elizabeth Warren, asking a foreign government to investigate her top Republican rival as long as there was some sort of allegation about that Republican rival having some sort of connection to allegations of corruption. That's going to be okay with you.
I think y'all misreport this. But I think y'all misreport
it's just a fact.
What you guys say every time is, well, it's not. I mean, what you said is completely untrue. The president didn't call up the president of Ukraine and say, no, let me finish. He didn't call up the president of Ukraine and say, investigate my rival.
He said investigate Joe Biden.
A certain person and a certain... Let me finish. Here's the thing is, you guys are not being honest with the facts here. He does not call up and say, investigate my rival. He says, investigate a person. So let's say I'm the Republican sheriff.
And Joe Biden is his rival.
And let me finish. Let me finish my sentence. If I'm the Republican sheriff here and my Democrat opponent's son is caught stealing from a liquor store, am I supposed to say, oh, I'm allowed to investigate corruption unless that person is related to someone that might run against me? So you can't make rules that way. It's either corruption or it's not corruption. It happens that in this case, there were allegations of corruption, and they involved Joe Biden and his son. And the American people, when they hear that Hunter Biden made $50,000 a month, they smell corruption. I think it was wrong, and I think he used his office to enrich his son, and I think most Americans agree with us. But you keep saying that the president said, investigate my rival.
He said, investigate Joe Biden.
Corruption.
He said, investigate Joe. The word corruption does not appear in that transcript, sir. The word corruption does not. He said, investigate Joe and Hunter Biden. But I know you want to talk about Afghanistan.
Who worked for a company? No, but who worked for a company called Burisma, which had been investigated for many years for corruption. There are still allegations of corruption against Burisma, and I don't know that we've gotten the full picture.
He didn't say investigate Burisma.
This oligarch and Hunter Biden's involved.
See, he didn't say investigate Burisma or go investigate all the corrupt companies in your country. He said investigate Joe and Hunter Biden. There's no secret about that. But I know you want to talk about Afghanistan. We agreed to do this interview. Do you want to talk about Afghanistan or not?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is we should talk about important things instead of wasting our time on this partisanship, you know?
Well,